start, and thank you for the patience for those who came exactly on time.
Benvenuti
Welcome and thank to all our guests, our European delegates coming from 15 different countries, and also the Milan citizens who decided to be here. I wish to thank the institutions who accepted to attend this event, and more specifically the region of Lombardy that is our host. I am Silvia Puggi, I'm Vice Secretary of CEC, and I follow the activities linked to innovation. And now I switch to English.
Important time for Europe. After a year of stagnation, now war, energy crisis, and instability, new tariffs are forcing Europe to make significant choices. The problem is that our companies have been losing competitiveness compared to US and China. But the Draghi report shows a way to solve it. It's an industrial strategy based on 3 pillars: innovation, sustainability, and security. Today, we are here to reflect on a crucial question for Europe's future. How can we use innovation to make Europe more competitive, while also respecting the environment and people? This is the approach European managers want to follow. As managers, we want to promote economic growth, but also innovation, sustainability, and cohesion. But before we dive into the strategies adopted by our top European companies and managers, please let me give the floor to our host, Marco Alparone, Vice President in charge of finances in Lombardy Region. Prego.
Adesso mi dovreste sentire.
Yes, the microphone is on. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for choosing Palazzo Lombardia, because I believe that a meeting such as the present one, so this welcome by the region, the President Fontana and the Council, well, it is a welcome that can be translated into a message of collaboration. Well, today's subject made me think, well, is it a challenge based on people or on tools, innovation, sustainability? Is it a challenge that involves the innovation of tools, or rather the innovation and the ability of each and every one of us to to use those tools? So a meeting such as the present one is essentially centered on people. People who have the task to manage this challenge. Of course, it cannot possibly be a local approach. I'm very glad you are here in Lombardy, because Lombardy must face this challenge with a vision that is not only an Italian one or a European one. I believe Lombardy must be one of the flywheels of this historical moment, where we can consider a small bit, but each and every one of us, but a small bit that looks at the future. Well, there is a European challenge. We were talking about that with the president. Well, this starts with this new European season that is centered on some essential elements. And I say that with some pride, that these essential elements, based on two analyses that are linked to competitiveness, financial resources. That is precisely my job, and they were written by two Italians that have always been centered on Europe. So the Italy must be considered within a European framework, because this challenge can only be won together. So when you read the Draghi report on competitiveness, you understand that this is a challenge for men and not for tools. The opportunities of innovation from artificial intelligence, robotics, investment in R&D, research and innovation, they are as many essential elements for Europe that can compete all over the world. So it is the ability by managers, the managers who are present here, to be able to interpret this change vis-a-vis what? A word that is running very fast, possibly with simpler rules. And those who read those two reports, well, you reading those two reports, you understand the importance of the role of the public administration. And I go back to this idea of choosing, this building. Well, because the private actor is not enough. There must be a sort of joining together of the public and the private forces. Simplification, first of all, but simplification, well, moves from an idea, essentially, accepting the rules. When we speak of a single market, we must also be able to compete. When we speak of a Europe without boundaries, it also means that no one must be left behind. These are the real challenges of innovation, sustainability, building a Europe that is strong and is strong vis-a-vis the whole world. And in this report, there are essential elements because this idea of transition, unless we are leaders, we will suffer from it. Innovation and research, either we are leaders or we suffer from it. So obviously we must invest, and we need economic resources. And the other file that is very important, it is the other report, rather, it is the letter report. The letter report speaks about resources, apart from the abilities of men and women, managers, of being able to interpret this innovation. The first idea for resources is joining public and private resources. And I want to make an example taken from the region of Lombardy, what we have been doing vis-a-vis this challenge. But first of all, the European system, the ability of the European system of investing resources by simplifying, so that those who work in innovation can compete in the world. It's not just a matter of investing in startups, but supporting startups, scale up investment. What happens all over the world? In the world, they invest much more than we do, or rather, we invest in that other world. And this is another element to be kept in mind. We keep investing our resources on foreign markets. Why? Why is it so? Because we are unable to have a single market where our private investments can find a potential where, again, you can reinvest in the growth of Europe itself. This is precisely the challenge in front of us. And we can start moving from the very small. The European policies are never built top-down. They are always built bottom-up. And so in our policies, we know that the region of Lombardy, that is a flywheel of development and innovation, well, we must, of course, give public funds, but also private resources. And we were the first region in Europe that replanned the STEP platform. It speaks about managers, so you know what we are talking about. But replanning a part of ESF, that is precisely what the regions have to invest in innovation and development. First of all, human resources, human capital in this region, and what we call public capital in investment and research means giving a future to the Lombardy fabric that can innovate, but must be supported must be accompanied. This is precisely what we did. This is precisely what we want for the future of Italy and Lombardy. It was not simply because replanning European resources, and I'm looking at the President, means having a dialogue with the European Commission where rules are more important than results. So unless we change our models, and where we invest resources because we truly measure the impact of what we're doing, and we get out from the simple reporting rules, because today we take those resources and we only have bureaucratic rules. Reporting. If I'm good at reporting, it means I have spent those resources in the best possible way. This is not the case. I've spent the money well if that led to research, to investing in startups, to create development. These are the steps we've been trying to do in Europe in this very important season. But we can do that if we have a good human capital. And you are the managers who must train the new human capital. The gap we have today is essentially linked to skills. We need higher and higher skills to interpret this season of innovation. People are able to use the tools, but the tools are just the means and not the end. The end, it's you. Thank you.
Let me now introduce Alessia Cappello, in charge of economic development and labor politics here in Milano.
Ecco, buongiorno a tutte e a tutti.
Good morning. Thank you, President. I wish to thank the organizers for this invitation. It is a pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the City of Milan, of our mayor, and of the city administration. And it is a great pleasure to host you in our city, such an important meeting, maximum European visibility, and it is really a shop window for our city since your conference is taking place here in Milan. And it is also a wonderful opportunity to start thinking together about a number of issues that are so important in our everyday life as citizens, as workers, and as representatives, both in the private and the public sectors, that must guide this change. A change that leads to digital transition, innovation, and ecological transition, sustainability, environmental transitions. These were two pillars of the NRRP at the moment of resilience and resistance, a moment that was so strong and so difficult. I'm referring to COVID. These were the two pillars where our restarting was present of a European community altogether, because change today in such a rapid world, a global economy, constantly changing with constant difficulties and constant challenges, geopolitical challenges, not only in terms of energy and the environment. Well, you cannot face all that with the outlook from just one city, one region, one country. We must face it all together with a global outlook, a strategic alliance among countries and states, necessarily a European outlook. And in change, well, you cannot stop change. Change can be suffered, and in the case, if you suffer change, of course, change will go above your heads and you just suffer the consequences, or the change can be guided, and in that case, you can shape the future, precisely the future we want. But you cannot stop change. So here in Milan, in our city, in July 2023, well, we had a very big storm, that had never happened for centuries. It was a first-timer. It blocked the city, trees fell. It was devastating, and luckily it happened overnight, because the consequence might have been much worse if it had happened at 9 in the morning. Luckily, it took place at night. So climate change today is not something we can block, but it's something we can guide. I mean, all together, we can try, both in the public and the private sector, we can try and do something to change the situation, to guide the future precisely with the vision we want this future to be or to go. And of course, the private sector plays an essential role. Since you are company managers, you know that very well, because of course, the consequences of these changes and the resilience, the strength to implement some decisions and to transform them into actions. Of course, that belongs essentially to the private sector. But what is the public sector supposed to do? Well, institutions have two fundamental roles. First of all, a vision, this far-reaching look at the future, foreseeing, giving, the guidelines to be followed, and so also the regulations that are to be implemented. But that is not enough, because the consequences are on the private sector. I'm thinking of the supply chain of the Made in Italy, of course, with a European outlook, but considering the specificities and also the excellences of each country. Italy as an extraordinary excellence, precisely due to the supply chain linked to the Made in Italy. It is extraordinary. That is something that is recognized all over the world. It is our oil. Tourism and the Made in Italy are the Italian oil. Certainly, that is true. But this is possible because our supply chain is made, by micro and small enterprises that were resilient precisely because of that, and they account for 98% of our system. But these small enterprises have difficulties at putting up with the technological change, digital change that they have to face. The environmental challenge, the technological challenge cannot be stopped. If there is an enterprise selling oil or pasta or consumer goods of some type, they have a cost for the consumer that is limited. They cannot make the consumer pay for the transformation cost, but they must absorb that cost. They must pay for that extra cost. So what are institutions supposed to do, apart from regulations and of course the bureaucratic and regulatory framework? Well, institutions must listen to entrepreneurs, must start a dialogue. This is a splendid opportunity because we can listen to you, and we must reduce bureaucracy, as the Vice President said. We must try and help in simplifying the rules, the provisions that are decided, but you must also help companies to face the situation. So reducing bureaucracy is important, and support. Well, support means a variety of things, but also helping some supply chains. It means trying not to destroy those specificity and excellences that belong to the European Union. And this is a flag that represents us all, and we are very proud of being Europeans. But the specificities, the excellences are to be preserved. They are to be strengthened one way or the other. So institutions must accompany. So, well, regulatory approach, but also accompanying change. So an opportunity such as this one, this conference, gives us the opportunity, this conference gives us the opportunity. This is a conference that will be moving around, so there are other countries, other cities that will be involved. accompanying change. This is the idea in the productive reality, in the economic fabric of each individual excellence that is within our European Union. Milan, in these two approaches, first of all, smart city, so technological change, innovation, startups. Well, certainly we are a city that is considered a European capital or maybe a world capital, and we have been investing on that together with our universities, education, research center, with the support of institutions and also with the world of finance. The Italian Stock Exchange is based in Milan, and a high percentage of Italian startups are based in Milan, and the other startups, those that are created in other parts of Italy, well, they still come here because here they have the funds, here they have an easier approach to the market. And as for sustainability, Milan is in the forefront. We have a number of European projects. We are among European capitals trying to, well, to have this flag of sustainability. It has to do with the environment, but it's also a social flag, because the work of labor is changing, has been changing in expectations, especially of younger generations. And since we have mostly managers, younger generations want to see in companies an alliance of values, a conformity of values where sustainability, technology, but innovation and welfare are also very important when they have to decide whether to accept or not a job in a given companies. Then there is the generation change and the skills that are not available at present or not enough. So innovation on one side and environmental and social sustainability. And Milan wants to play a role there, also the European level. And we are very glad that this conference takes place here. Thank you. And as a city, we are really close to you, because this challenge in Europe, but also in the world, is a challenge we must face together. Thank you.
And now here is Maxime Legrand, CEC President, but first a video.
We are distinct from the employers and from the rest of employees. Our role is essential. What makes us leaders and managers? High level of skills, autonomy, authority, remuneration, and contractual provisions. We build bridges with the European institutions. We make sure your voice is heard. We are a recognized social partner of the European Commission. We are official communication partners of the European Parliament. We also coordinate European projects. Since 1951, we put leadership issues on the political agenda. Join us and make sure your voice is heard. Use your leadership.
Good morning, everyone. Buongiorno a tutti. It's a great pleasure and a special responsibility to open beside prestigious speakers this European gathering here in Milan, a city that embodies both tradition and innovation, humanism and design, and that welcomes us today with the legendary warmth of Italian hospitality. For that, I want to say grazie mille. I would like to warmly thank our Italian partners, the CIDA organization and its vice president, for this fruitful cooperation, the Lombardy Region and its vice president for welcoming us in such an inspiring setting, the City of Milan and Ms. Capello, thank you. And of course, the Minister of European Affairs, Mr. Foti, for the honor he makes us with the message he will deliver. Let me also salute my colleagues from CC European Managers and all our member organizations and all the managers gathered here today. Not as spectators, but as actors of transformation. A warm thank you as well to all our panelists, and especially the business leaders who will share their visions and experiences today, including several inspiring women leaders whose voices are essential in shaping the Europe of tomorrow. We just showed you a short video that presents the CEC European Managers organization, who we are, what we do, and what we embody. If we are one of the 6 organizations recognized as European social partners by the European Commission, if we are one of the 3 official organizations representing employees, it's because some people before us, at some crucial moments, have been able to make the voice of the people we represent particularly heard. We are the inheritors of this fight that helped everyone understand how important it was that the people we represent, who pilot teams and factories, be represented and have their say. It's a big responsibility, and we do it with our own uniqueness. I speak to you today not only as president of CC European Managers, but also as someone who sees himself not so much as a leader, but as a connector, a weaver of ideas, responsibilities, and relationships across cultures, generations, and institutions. Because I deeply believe that nothing sustainable can be built without human connection. Today, the boundaries between the world of work and society are no longer clear. The decisions we take in our companies affect our ecosystems. The way we manage our team shapes our democracies. The values we carry as managers define the kind of Europe we are building. We live in a world full of paradoxes, where innovation accelerates, but meaning gets lost. When we have more data, but sometimes less wisdom, where noises often replaces nuance. That is why I believe Europe must be built not on slogans or algorithms, but on judgment, memory, and human dignity. Yes, we need reason, but not pure economic rationality. We need freedom, but not ideological chaos. We need values, but not moral arrogance. We also need the right to choose collectively, even when that choice is not what markets would dictate. Democracy is not about optimality. It is about participation, debate, and shared direction. And in that process, we must resist the temptation to erase everything: our foundations, our memory, our shared references. Because without them, there is no cohesion, no belonging, no Europe. This brings me to a name that resonates in this very city. At this very moment, I guess you are wondering, who is it? It could have been the name of a great football player or a design star, because those are 2 things I love. And you have had so many stars here in Milan in those two areas. But no, that's not where I want to take you. No, that name is Leonardo da Vinci, a genius of invention and vision, a symbol of beauty, science, and ethics combined. When I visited the Leonardo Museum in Milan 2 years ago, I was struck first by his entire body of work and his capacity for invention that I was rediscovering. And I have been struck a second time by a phrase attributed to him: I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have. And yet, we all know the immensity of his legacy. This sentence to me is not about guilt. It's about humility and about responsibility. About doing our best, not for applause, but because we owe it to the people we serve and to those who will follow. This is what I wish to share with you today, a sense of duty, a sense of hope. As CEC European managers, we advocate for a new leadership. Oh, efficient, yes, but conscious. Innovative, yes, but inclusive. Global, but deeply human. Managers are not just part of the economy, they are part of society. And in this moment of transition, they can be pillars of resilience, of transformation, and of cohesion. This means embracing the green transition, not as a constraint, but as an opportunity. An opportunity to redesign our ways of producing, managing, and living, with climate responsibility at the core. It also means making room for inclusion, not just as a concept, but as a practice. Inclusion of more women in leadership, of younger generation, of diverse cultural and professional backgrounds. Because the Europe we want to build must be plural, representative, and united in action. So let this day not just be a conference, let it be a space of connection, of courage, and of imagination. Let us not only manage the present, let us co-create our future. Thank you.
We now have a video by Stefano Cuzzilla, who's the president of CIDA, and unfortunately he couldn't make it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I cannot be with you today. An institutional commitment is keeping me in Rome, but I wanted to send you this message because I consider it this an important event. It is important for the work we are doing in China and for the journey we're sharing with CEC today. Talking about innovation and sustainability means talking about the future, but also very concretely about our present. For us managers, it means asking ourselves how to build value over time, because sustainability, beyond the cliches, is respect, awareness, and responsibility. Respect for people and the context in which we live and work, awareness of the complexity in which we operate, responsibility towards a time that demands clear and courageous choices. The truth is that sustainability has too often been treated as a label, but for us it is something much more concrete. It is the ability to generate lasting economy, social, environmental, and productive values. Innovation is meaningless if not sustainable. This is why our role is crucial, because every transformation, even the most promising, can produce new inequalities. Those who innovate grows, those who lag behind risk being left behind. It is up to us as leaders to bridge the gap between progress and inclusion. We must keep three things in mind. New technologies do not affect everyone in the same way. Innovation and social transformation are closely linked. The speed of change requires us to rethink organizational and leadership models. I think about smart working, flexibility, mobility, the fragmentation of production spaces, and even more so, a new idea of business that is capable of responding not only to market demand, but also to the demand for meaning. The younger generations are already doing this. They choose carefully and are willing to spend more on sustainable products. It is not just consumption and culture, but innovation is racing ahead. And with it, unpredictability. We must ask ourselves whether we are operating with vision, with solid principle, with consistent behavior, and that has an impact. Let's not leave this question unanswered. Let's address them and translate them into concrete actions, because we know that sustainability is not a coat of paint to be applied to old models. It is a paradigm shift. Innovating sustainability means reducing negative impact while generating real value, combining technological progress, competitiveness, and social environmental justice. It is not a matter of choosing between opposing options, but of keeping them together into a virtuous balance. It is the most complex path, but also the only truly sustainable one. This approach is in our DNA. It is the vision that CIDA promoted back in 2016 with the European Manifesto of Executives, which was then adopted by the CEC as a reference for joint actions. Today, we're pursuing it with even greater determination because the values that seemed ambitious at this time have become essential. We're facing complex challenges that are testing established models and forcing us to rethink our role. But we have the skills, vision, and responsibility to turn these challenges into concrete opportunities. And this is precisely the spirit with which we view the work of CEI, a network of over 1 million European executives united with the idea that a future cannot be waited for, but must be built with the same spirit. I wish the CEC and all my colleagues here today in Milan every success. I'm truly sorry not to be there with you, but consider me present because I'm always alongside those who lead change with competence, responsibility every day. Good luck with your work. Thank you.
Biggest CIDA Federation, Feder Manager, and his president, Walter Quercioli.
Dear colleagues, authorities, welcome to Milan, welcome to Lombardy, and welcome to Italy. My name is Walter, or Walter for the English-speaking people, and I serve as the president of Feder Manager. Feder Manager is the Italian federation representing over 80,000 executives and around 300,000 senior managers within our country's industrial system. As the largest federation within CIDA, or CIDA, as English-speaking people call it, which is our National Managers Confederation made of 14 federations. We are one of them. We are the largest. Feder Manager is fully committed to the European dialogue and engagement through its membership in CEC. Italy stands as Europe's second largest manufacturing economy. Our industrial structure is deeply rooted in a highly specialized network of small and medium-sized enterprises, supported by many globally competitive industrial groups that drive innovation, technology, design, competitiveness across entire value chains, global value chains. And our industrial sector is made by around 370,000 companies, of which 20,000 of them managerialized. Like everywhere in Europe, anyhow, our companies are facing unprecedented transformations, driven by energy transitions, technological revolutions, evolution of customer needs, demographic shifts, and a growing geopolitical competition. These challenges demand long-term vision, anti-fragile capabilities, and coordinated policy action. We are fully aware that today a large majority of industrial policies are shaped at the European level, not at national level. This makes the role of CEC even more strategic for us. We strongly believe that Europe needs a unified managerial voice to contribute not only to policy debate, but also to the practical implementation of policies within companies and industries. In particular, we see 7 major areas where a stronger managerial platform at European level is of the essence, and where CEC can serve as a structured and reliable partner for European policymakers. First, the industrial policy and strategic autonomy. Second, the digital transformation and the governance of artificial intelligence impact in our society, in our companies, on our people. Third, the green transition, decarbonization, and sustainability reporting. Fourth, the energy market reform and price stability, also known in the Italian debate as the decoupling. Fifth, managerial labor market and the European cross-border mobility for managerial roles. Sixth, contractual welfare, supplementary pensions and healthcare systems, a true value add for our people. Seventh, not the least, to keep strong on our hallmark at society level, defending against a growing hostility on diversity, equality, and inclusion policies. These are not abstract discussions. They directly affect our industries, our companies, our colleagues, our jobs, and ultimately the long-term competitive strength of Europe. Federmanager is ready to work hand in hand with CEC and its partner organizations to develop common positions, to engage with European institutions, and to contribute managerial expertise to the law and policy-making processes. Thank you for being here today. I wish you all fruitful discussions, and let's build together a stronger managerial voice in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we now have a video by Tommaso Foti, Minister for Italian Affairs, Recovery Fund and Cohesion.
Check CIDA.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to CEC and CIDA for the kind invitation, which I am unable to accept in person, as I hoped, due to a prior commitment. However, today's stimulating topic prompts me to offer a few brief reflections. We are at a historic moment in which the European Union is facing numerous challenges, operating in a geopolitical and economic context that has changed significantly in recent years at the heart of transition that Europe is undergoing. It seems appropriate to emphasize that the role of managers is becoming increasingly strategic. Managers can no longer be mere executors of company directives, but must become conscious and proactive players capable of embracing innovation and integrating sustainability into every aspect of the organization. The future that Europe has mapped out is built on two important axes: the ecological transition and the digital transition. This choice must translate into concrete decisions: investments in clean technologies, digitalization of the processes, and promotion of a corporate culture geared towards sustainability. In this year, there has been a lack of sectoral industrial policies that take into account the specific needs of individual industries, as well as the varying degrees of exposure to external competition in different sectors. Europe must now close the innovation gap with public and private investments, and a focus on enabling technologies appears essential. Artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, biotech semiconductors, biotech advanced materials. The European Commission has launched a series of strategic instruments aimed at strengthening industrial autonomy and competitiveness. The Compass for Competitiveness, presented in 2025, revolves around a number of key axes, i.e. productive capacity, innovation, sustainability, and social convergence. Managers are therefore called upon to operate on several fronts: relocating critical supply chains, investing in training, and adopting green technologies. Innovation is a driver of productivity. The gap between research and innovation and business must be reduced through policies that encourage technology transfer, and last but not least, protect intellectual property. The excessive price of energy Can we please resume the video, or shall we continue? Please let me know. It's not very clear what's going on. Almost 50 actions to be presented by 2027. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's stop here. Let's stop here and let's continue. I'm very sorry, by the way. I mean, we were quite lagging behind, and this could be quite helpful.
And the scope is to hear the perspective of some very innovative managers and how they manage this dilemma between sustainability and productivity. The first roundtable will focus on technology and production, while the second one will address skills and digital transformation. Europe is often criticized for creating too many rules and not enough innovation. However, this is not entirely true. Welcome to our first roundtable dedicated to innovation and sustainability for competitiveness. We will explore how some companies actually made it. And I'm delighted to have with us today Cristiana Scelza, Vice President Prismias and President of Valore D, Cristina Tomasini, Senior Partner, Head of Green Transition Fund, Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, François Romeril, President of SVE-CGC, French Manager Confederations, Marco Guazzoni, Sustainability Director Vibram, and Torkild Jensen, Director Lederne Danish Managers Confederation and Secretary General CEC. Here you go. Well, I want to start with Cristiana Scelza and Cristina Tomasini, my two women. Cristiana Scelza, energy is one of the major topics in Europe today. With us, we have two managers for whom energy is a vital part of their work. Prismian is the global leader in energy and telecom cable systems, while Cassa Depositi e Prestiti is Italy's top investor in innovation. The key question is, can innovation enable us to pursue sustainability without slowing down growth? Let's hear your insight.
So good morning to everybody. Thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today. So definitely energy is one of the major topics in Europe. According to the IEA, the International Energy Agency, innovation is crucial for facilitating and accelerating the energy transition from the fossil fuel to renewable source, whatever it is, solar, wind, or hydro, and increasing the increasing role of electrification and smart grid. So energy should be available, need to be available from efficient and very continuously accessible infrastructure with a minor environmental impact. This is a must. We need to remember the network need to be efficient, because without an efficient network, then we have a serious negative impact on our daily life. We remember Spain of more than 1 month ago. So it's crucial companies like my company that provide a one-stop shop, installing and monitoring thousands of kilometers of cables underground and submarine for the transmission and distribution of energy, as well as low voltage and medium voltage for the construction and the industrial application. So for this interconnecting network, for this efficient infrastructure, product innovation, it is fundamental. Fundamental for the electrification, the increasing electrification, as well as big and critical projects like data center. But innovation and sustainability are together side by side for the energy transition, need to go side by side. Because innovation, without any doubt, it is driving the sustainability. I'm thinking about the solar energy, the wind turbine, and now if you look, you can find even solar and wind together in the same single unit. But sustainability is guiding innovation. Sustainability goals are guiding the innovation towards a cleaner and more efficient technology. And in this interconnection, of course, what is happening, that innovation is pushing more on efficiency, so you reduce cost and resource use. You push on, of course, efficiency, then recyclability, and then waste management. So waste is becoming a very important resource, creating also new business opportunity. And then consequently, you have a circular economy because altogether supplier and customer are going together in the same direction with the same strategy. Then we have heard from the Vice President of the region that we have a policy and regulation. So government is incentivizing innovation and best practice of sustainability. And on top again, it was also highlighting this, public and private sector must cooperate to leverage the strength on both sectors. So if you put everything together, it's impossible not to continue growing. And you have a clear example, like my company, of course, let me say this. My company closed 2024 with outstanding financial result and significant achievement in sustainability, thanks to our culture of innovation that is really dated years and years ago. We have been pioneer in sustainability and innovation. So thanks to our culture, thanks to our commitment to a positive impact on people and planet. These achievements are the base of our sustainability focus in the accelerating growth strategy that has been presented to the market in New York City in March during our Capital Market Day. Let me only highlight that in this new strategy, we are aiming to 55% of revenues, so we are making cables, so 55% of revenues by sustainable solution by 2028, up from 43% that was in 2024. So definitely, yes, we can pursue sustainability with innovation with a strong economic growth.
Just to give an order of magnitude, what's your turnover?
So we closed 2024 with more than 17 billion.
Okay, thank you. Cristina Tomassini, you work in energy and decarbonization. What's your point of view?
First of all, thank you very much, and I'm really honored to be here. So I manage the Green Transition Fund by CDP Venture Capital, that is the national venture capital arm of the Development Bank. And of course, venture capital is an enabler of innovation. When we speak about energy, if we see the situation in Europe, I mean, energy is an hot topic for two main reasons. The first one is the difference of prices within Europe. We can have even more than 100 euro per megawatt hour different price for the Nordics compared to Italy, for instance. And second point is that energy is one of the main topic when we speak about decarbonization. So I heard a lot the green transition topic in the previous speech. So as venture capital, we are responsible to, our job is really to support startups to find new solution and to support startup to give to the market sustainable solution, because no company is able and is willing to pay a green price for making innovation just to make innovation. I mean,
Not just
it's not
for the sake of
sustainable.
it.
It's not sustainable. So what I want to say is that we work with the startup in the very beginning time of their life, when the investment is the more risky, and we support them to from the idea to a commercial viable solution. So sustainability from an economic point of view is really our mission. And that's why venture capital must be seen as a very industrial player. It's not just a financial asset class that can be very profitable because the risk is very high. But venture capital is really an industrial player. So in our portfolio, for instance, we have companies that develop long-term energy storage, and this technology allowed to keep and to store renewable energy for 10, 12 hours. This means that we can offer renewable energy even during the night. And this can enable the development of some very interesting contract to purchase energy that are the long-term power purchase agreement that can, let's say, allow the companies to fix the price and to have decarbonized energy even during the night. So these are small examples on how venture capital can play really an industrial role. And if we couple this, let's say, industrial role with regulation and incentive that the European Union and the policymaker can make, I mean, we can have very successful example. In the past, we had the old incentive scheme that accelerated the deployment of the renewable energy, and in the recent past, recently, we have the European Union with the Green Industrial Deal proposing some very interesting measure, like, for instance, the 500 million guarantee provided by the European Investment Bank to support the companies to guarantee the long-term power purchase agreement. So these are the very practical measures that can foster innovation. So yes, can be sustainable.
We'll continue on this topic. Torkild Janstesen, Denmark and the Nordics are famous for their strong commitment to the environment. But in these times, did the current mood change? Is sustainability still a top priority on managers' agenda from your point of view?
Well, thank you for inviting me. And how's the mood? A very good question. We all know that moods is important, and if the family has a bad mood, then we better try and change it. But I would say the mood is changing. And what do I mean by changing? I mean that the mood has come from, okay, let's do this. It's probably something that doesn't go away. But as managers, let's do our best then when it doesn't go away. To a situation where people has actually said, okay, this is working. Sustainability is not just something that has come. It's a good thing. It goes hand in hand with innovation. And we just, this week, we have asked 2,500 managers, would you like to get rid of all the CSRD rules? Would you like to skip all the ESGs? How many do you think actually said would like to skip it? Well, not 0, but 6% actually. And in the same survey, they said, we feel that the demands on sustainability has actually created us to be more innovative managers. And the interesting part now, you said that the Nordic countries were specifically very first movers on this. Maybe we were. But my good friends and our member organization in Germany, ULA, they have just yesterday released this same kind of survey among the German managers. And they have said, 85%, I think, said, well, this is just a strategic operational instrument that is good for us in Germany. So the mood is okay.
Okay, we have to check that in Italy too then. Marco Guazzoni. Vibram is an Italian company that produces high-performance rubber soles for tech shoes. You operate at the intersection of innovation and fashion, and are recognized for your leadership in circularity and eco-design. Could you share what role innovation plays in your work?
Of course. Thank you for the invitation, first of all. Vibram is born as an innovative company. Let's say we created, the founder in 1937 created the first sole in rubber to overcome, to go safely in the mountain, to go over any kind of obstacle or climbing, whatever future we can go on. So the innovation has been always a driver for making new sole, new product, new invention. And I can say that since then, the environment has been taken into consideration, and our business model, our innovation model is really to go to the consumer, to the mass market, or to the professional of every sector to ask which are their needs, and our capability based on our competencies has been to transform this need in a solution, basically chemical for the rubber or design for the sole. And this change has been made normally through keeping very high level of performances and positioning on durability, which, by the way, is something that I resell as a sustainability matter. Since many years, we found that sustainability is becoming the real driver, and today all the innovations are based on sustainability. The first sole that I can mention on sustainability has been 1994, where the founder, the owner of the company, decided to use a part of our waste internally in our compound for the sole, keeping the same performances. And since then, we are moving on eco-design internally, but our eco-design is basically finding new material of changing the process to be less, let's say, consume less energy or produce less waste. Since a while, we are provoking or trying to work with our customer, with let's say, with our partner, to create the matter of changing the construction of the shoes, to change and innovate really what is the real impact. And more than only the construction and the type of shoes, is really convincing even the consumer and the user that they can do something different tomorrow. So the provocation to our customer today from my side is, we are selling soles today and they are selling shoes, but why tomorrow we cannot sell steps, kilometers, or something different to change the business model? Because we need to make our product durable and usable many times, not having, like you mentioned, fashion. Fashion sometimes is pushing sales, and just because of the sake of aesthetic or changing the design and the culture, people want to sell something more, and you keep something which is not finished its life, but just because it's aesthetically you want something different. And maybe sharing or doing something different is the solution. So this is something that we are working on with our customer and with our partner.
Now I'll go back to Cristiana Scelsa. They like your shoes. To Cristiana Scelsa and then Marco Guazzone again. Although your companies work in very different sectors, you work in really high-tech, heavy industrial, he works in fashion, but you both share a strong focus on quality. And can you give us a specific example where sustainability was not just an add-on, but it was really a core driver of an innovation process or product? I know it's a long question, but can you give a short answer, trying to give us some highlights on the challenges and the real outcome in terms of market positioning and competitiveness of your companies?
I was mentioning.
Doesn't work.
I was mentioning that we have been really pioneer in regarding sustainability. So I'm back to 1999 and the beginning of 2000 for a very traditional market, the medium voltage cable for the distribution, for the energy distribution. At that time, we started studying and searching for a material that was completely different from the standard on the market, not cross-linked, not modified by chemical or irradiation process that is bonding the polymer chain and giving enhanced properties from mechanical, electrical, and thermal. We were searching for a thermoplastic material. Why thermoplastic? Because it's easy to process, easy to mold, because it's not modified, easy to mold, easy to extrude, but because it was recyclable, because it's not modified, so the material can be reused. So sustainability was really our driver at that time. Of course, a big challenge, because you need to find the right material, the right machinery, the right process, even the right handling of the product. And you need to, the market acceptance has been the most difficult part, because we are working in a quite traditional market where material and method are quite consolidated and deeply rooted. But then, on the other side, our brand image, our reputation, had an incredible boost. We were really ahead in terms of sustainability, speaking about recyclability of insulation material. And as a leader on the market, we felt, and we still feel, the strong responsibility of being leader and driving and leading the way. So the innovation effort that we made at that time, not only for the market acceptance, but also for the specification, because we were leading also the new spec for this material, has been paying back in these years now, during the acceleration of energy transition. Thanks to this material and the work that we have done 25 years ago, we have been able to gain the major and the highest market share in the very important part of the transmission business in the energy transmission.
Kudos to you.
Thank you.
Ibram.
But let's say our, I'm not saying secret, but our key quality has been the driver for many years. Sustainability is not substituting quality, but is just going together with quality. And I have to say that the key from my perspective is the fact that our products are made by people. And the fact of having let's say 25% of our production is internally. Internally, I mean Europe, in Italy, in China, and in US, and 75% is made outside. The fact of training, of having our people part of projects and working with us is really a matter of having to be part of a project, be part of what they believe is what we call yellow blood, to understand which are our core values and to make their things in the right way every day in their life. So the Department of Sustainability is very little, is 3 persons out of 800. The fact is we don't take care of the full sustainability. We need to drive people to do sustainability every day. And by their competencies, I think that this has been the key. I'm not saying, I don't spend time in saying which are the driver on a normal life, but we were able to convince and to bring along sustainability many people in our in the 3 geographic areas through something which is different. The corporate volunteering program has been the one most educating our people and our partner, because I'm talking about the full supply chain, together with us in doing something where they feel out of, let's say, the normal daily life, something with us. And I think that this has been a trigger to convince them even on the quality of everyday job, of everyday work, piece of work that they do. So sustainability is coming to the social side as well as the technical side and the production and environment. So I think that they are very linked and there is no difference between the two to obtain the same result.
I want to go to France with François Romeril. So the transformation to a fully sustainable and innovative economy comes with many challenges in terms of cost, complexity, supply chain. From your perspective in France, what is your view on these challenges?
Ok. Buongiorno a tutti. Bonjour tout le monde.
Okay.
You know, I'm living in Savoie, in France, and every week I take the train from Milano, Porta Garibaldi to Paris.
Okay.
This is the reason why my Italian accent is so good. So my speaking English is not so fluent. And I have prepared the question, and I have to read the answer to be short and to be understood. Whether in France or elsewhere, the question remains relevant because obstacles are numerous and unfortunately, they don't seem to diminish over time. The main obstacle is cost. In a world where profit maximization is the norm, investment costs that represents a sustainable economy is a major obstacle. But there is also the issue of duration. For 30 years, we've been addicted to the short-term, and political decision-making is driven by the election agenda. How can we design investments in a sustainable economy that are necessarily profitable in the long term? Complexity is not an obstacle. Managers are trained to deal with the complexity. Mentalities have also changed, but power remains with political decision makers and business leaders, and they aren't free enough to free themselves from the financial pressure of short-term profit maximization.
Thank you. I'll go back to Marco Guazzoni because we were trying to talk about the supply chain. And I know that you have you can have a very good example of Made in Italy approach, combining craftsmanship, innovation, creativity, and quality. Could you describe your supply chain and its connection to local communities, please?
Yeah, let's say the example you are talking about is something related to reparation. And I have to say that one of the key of sustainability for Vibram is that sustainability needs to be economically sustainable. I mean, we need to talk about our business. In this case, we were seeing in the past the cobbler business not disappearing, but reducing. And we found that there was a kind of idea of buy sneaker and throw away. Let's say the arrival of sneaker made in China was bringing this weight of consumption and without reparation. We were able to reform technologically part of the reparation business. We were let's say, giving to the consumer the opportunity to have something very unique, very cool, very different from what they had in the past, so educating consumer. On the other side, we were able to create an academy for cobbler to understand which are the working way to have more money, because today they can ask 70, 100, 150 euro for a reparation. So attracting young generation to a business which was disappearing because it was old style. And now we are, let's say, able to create something even with our B2C customer, B2B, customer, which are designing on the basis of eco-design, something which is more easy to repair. So creating something on all the steps of the society. And the last, which is, in my opinion, something very nice, which happened because we were trying to find even a social aspect. We created a laboratory in this academy, even in a jail in Brescia. So we have a group of people which are not only repairing their damage to the society staying in jail, but in learning how to repair shoes and to do something different and gaining a professionality. So tomorrow when they will get out from jail, they will have a professionality to spend. And this project is becoming an example because many other, let's say there is a new jail of female part which is wanted to have this kind of laboratory. It's something that I feel is just an example. I mean, it's not the business of Vibram, but it's touching all the part of the society. And on top of that, is still something which is economically a benefit for the business of Vibram, where reparation business is between 8 and 10% of our turnover.
Thank you. So we spoke about traditional companies. Now let's move to very innovative companies, startups, with Cristina Tomasini. Innovation is often driven by startups, and GDP plays a key role in that. You invest in these startups, and some of them will be acquired by major corporations. Today, we talk a lot about open innovation, a way to innovate through external partners, and startups are often the main target. And I'd like to talk with you about how open innovation can shape the future of corporate innovation. What are the best way to integrate startups into established companies? And I know that sometimes managers have trouble working with startups.
I would say that, first of all, startups are part of the innovation. They must be part of the corporate reasoning. Because, as I said before, venture capital supports startups to become companies and to become part of them. Then our role stops as venture capitalists stop when they are as mature as to be integrated in a corporate or to be listed in a market. So to answer your question is very tough because there is there is no receipt. I mean, I used to work even as innovation director in the past in a corporate, and at that time, we established all the innovation department at corporate headquarter level and over the subsidiary. It took time. So you have different models. So you can have the innovation department, you can have corporate working, building their own corporate venture capital, you can have a mix of two. I would say that probably the best way to make innovation and startup living together in a better way is to probably close the gap between the venture capital and startups and corporate getting together. Meaning, I was speaking with a colleague from a corporate before, and I think that if a corporate comes to me as head of Green Transition Fund, telling, look, I'm looking for instance, if Cristiana comes to me asking new materials or explaining her needs in terms of new materials, problems to solve in terms of business, probably we have it already in our portfolio. I have 10 companies in portfolio. As CDP Venture Capital, we have 600 companies in our portfolio. So for sure, we can have the solution. And if we don't have it, we can look for, and this is our job. So in my view, in our view, and once again, this is why we think that venture capital is really an industrial player. I mean, if we close this gap and if we start to work together in a more coordinated way, corporate with venture capital, we can find a solution, I think, and we can reach a win-win model. And I think that this could help, will help each of us to closer the time to market. So us as an investor in startups, so startups to be faster in going to the market, to have insight from corporate, and to find the right business model to then have either the corporate as customers or, for instance, corporate as their new owner.
Prismia, did you work with startups recently?
Sorry?
Did you work with startups recently?
Oh, yes.
In your company?
Yes, we are.
Can you give us just one example?
For the innovation, you mean?
Yes.
Innovation that we are actually working on? Oh, we have so many projects, honestly. And while Christina was talking, I was really focusing on the work together, no? In order to make innovation working, really everybody needs to be together, all the processes, so everything in the company. So I was thinking to the worker in the Netherlands, when I was in the Netherlands, because we have a suggestion box in the factories, so workers can go there and give their ideas. And we came up with the use of the heat produced by the machinery to heat up the full factory. No? So we involve factory. So this is, while Christina was talking, really, innovation can work only if it is embedded everywhere, and all together, everybody is really on the same direction. So,
thank you.
Thanks.
François Meril, you live in one of the countries investing more in startups. So France is a leader in that respect with the French tech. How popular is becoming from French managers to work with startups?
Okay. First of all, I would like to do a remark. Startup phenomena can be a fashion. Probably the question is the model of startup I think it is your question. Is it the good model to go in the good direction to develop a sustainable economic model? Okay, probably I will answer the question for France. But you know, for growing, you need capital investments. And the question is, what are the demand of the capital to invest? Is this capital okay for invest in development for a sustainable economy? That is the main question. Because you can have all the model of enterprise that you want, if in fine it is a capital to decide. So in France, short answer, I don't know how to answer. The question precisely, in fact, it's probably impossible to answer it with reasoned argument. Indeed, the government policy of heavily funding startups, of the expense of supporting the competitiveness of mature companies, creates an imbalance in the opportunities for young managers to begin with their careers in startups or larger companies. On the other hand, there is a very real movement that attracts young managers to startups because they find objectives and organizations better suited to their desires and their ambition for a sustainable world.
Well, you actually called an answer by Cristina Tomasini, let's say. Well, our startups, Startups are just innovative companies, nothing fancy. Italian and European startups often move to the United States to raise capital, to grow. And this is a great loss for Europe and in terms of business and in terms of talent. But when we had our conversation to prepare this panel, you told me that there's a big shift now in Europe towards innovation. There's a great desire to engage private capital, and this may be the right moment to invest in innovation.
Yeah, we see an opportunity to have more private capital coming to Europe. So it's interesting for the innovation ecosystem, European innovation ecosystem. The reason why normally startups look at the US is because it's a big market. I mean, 350 million consumers in a single country. And because the capital market is at venture capital level is more developed, just to have an idea, 2024, the investment in venture capital in US was 140 million, compared to Europe that was 60 million, and Italy, billion, 140 billion US dollars, 60 billion US dollars in Europe, and 1.9 billion in Italy, just to give an idea. So, but there isn't, and the reason why, I mean, the startup normally went to US is connected to market and availability of capital. But there isn't a change in the US market. So let's think about a recent cut of 3.7 billion in sustainability project in US. I mean, meaning that investors that want to invest in sustainability, in decarbonization technology, can move to Europe, and is a big opportunity. I think that European Union catch this opportunity because we saw that at the end of the month, at the end of May, was published the Startup Act, that is a statement, so identifying some important points that need to be developed in order to make the market, the European market, that is a 450 million market consumer, but 27 countries. So different regulation, tax regime on investment. So I really hope that Europe will be fast in realizing, let's say, acting what they state in this European Startup Act, and I really wish that they will involve the business community to realize this in order to be really fast and concrete in the solution. There is a big opportunity. I mean, we are seeing as well already in the market some US venture capital coming. So it's interesting. This could be opportunity and threat because I mean, they're used to a market more developed. So, I mean, from an investor perspective, we see a faster way to act, higher valuation for the startup. So, I mean, as usual, when we have opportunities, there are even other risky parts to have a look. But of course, if we have capital, I mean, capital is a good engine for growth. So we need to catch this opportunity, and of course, in a fast and concrete way.
Starting by creating the Union of Capital. Torkin Jensen, now we were discussing on how to balance creation of economic value with respect for environment and people. This is a European way to do things. And this model has some challenges because we are competing against China and the US, who've got different regulatory frameworks and different cost structures. So how do managers, organizations help shape and promote this European model?
Well, I would just like to quote the president of CIDA from this morning, because he actually said that innovation and sustainability, and I have to be precise here, is the factors to create a lasting economy. So I don't buy the premise actually that, oh, they're all doing so great out there, and we're lacking behind, and they're not really. It's because of all the sustainability rules, it's because of all of our rules and regulations that we are not competitive, that we're not innovative. That is just not true. But what we need to shape up a little bit. We need to be able to make decisions faster. We need to have more agility, and we need to make decisions in unity and not as a lot of different countries with lots of different cultures and whatever we have for good reasons. But it is not opposites. And we are not in just having to look at, oh, they're doing so great out there. We cannot compete with China. We cannot compete with Asia and the United States. Of course we can, but we need to move faster. And we need to know how to make decisions. Am I right?
François, do you want to add something?
It's difficult to add something after Torkild had speak. But I can, very shortly. There's a lot of talk about sovereignty today, at the European level, but also at the level of each country that makes up Europe. At the CFA-CGC point of view, we believe that being sovereign means having the ability to define the standards we apply to ourselves. That is, according to us, the best definition of sovereignty, to be capable to apply the standards to ourselves. This means two things. European harmonization must be achieved from the top down. And European border control must use financial taxes to adjust the competitiveness of products that meet our standards to those that do not. Unfortunately, with the Omnibus Directive, for example, the opposite is happening today. And this is not good news for sustainability.
Torki, a question for CC Secretary. What is CC doing to equip European managers with tools and networks to lead this transformation?
This could be a very long speech and a very long list of what we are doing.
3 minutes.
I only have 2 minutes, okay. Then I'd like to speak on one thing that I think all of us here, as well as we in CEC, needs to focus especially on, and that is, how can we get the younger generation on board in the decision-making processes in the companies? If we do not, I'm very afraid that we will leave them outside shouting and being very discontent and very concerned that we are not moving fast enough. So that is something that is of a very high CEC priority. And what I hate to say is that when we even go to the global agenda and speak on the climate leadership and speak on climate, there's no leadership. No one talks about leadership. I went to Baku in Azerbaijan for the COP29 last year, and I'm going to Brazil in 30 on representing CEC, European managers. Why do we do that? Because we need to have the voice that we need to include the managers, in the discussion on climate and sustainability. If we don't, then we will not get the right decision. So please, that is my call and CEC call to all the politicians, please involve the managers, because then we can move somewhere.
Now, the very last question for Christiana Scelsa that helps me introduce the next panel. Sustainability is not just environment, it's also people. And you have a double role, apart from your industrial CEO role. You're also president of Women's Career Association. And I'd like to ask you how to make social sustainability a competitive advantage.
This is a
It's always the one that's not working? No.
Thank you. Yeah, social sustainability is a huge topic, and Torkild has been opening very well this topic. Yeah, I'm representing Valoredi, that is the unique association of companies born 16 years ago, representing more than 400 companies and working for the gender equality and inclusive leadership. I'm introducing this because sustainability, ESG, many studies are showing that people have a partial view of sustainability. 1 out of 4 really understand what ESG stands for. So everybody understands the E, environment, just few speak and understand the S, or at least we speak about social sustainability only when it's specifically prompt. So a lot of communication should be done, and the training and understanding. But then if we talk about companies, and I like what Torkild was saying, bring the companies and the leaders in this discussion. Because as a leader, we want to grow. To grow, you need people. Because we forget to say, companies are made of people, working with people, and working for people. People is at the center of everything we do. And we need to work on that. So the first thing very important is trust. And Edelman, the trust barometer of Edelman, is showing that employees are trusting their employer more than anything else, more than government, more than media, more than NGO. But why? Because the boss, the head of a company, is usually doing what is promising. So there is a consistency between statement and action. And this is fundamental in sustainability, in ESG, because everybody is asking concrete action beyond just words. So sustainability, it is a competitive advantage. Sustainability is not because it's ethical, the social sustainability. It is a business need. There are hundreds and hundreds of reports showing that companies, McKinsey, for example, diversity matters, McKinsey shows that companies that are in the top quartile in gender diversity in the executive team, so with the team more diverse from the gender point of view, has 39% more probability to outperform financially the company that are in the bottom part. So more diverse, more innovation, more growth, and economic really consistency. And this is valid not only for gender, it's valid also for cultural difference. But I'm coming back to the generation. To be sustainable and to grow, you don't need just the present. You need to look to the future, so the new generation. This is the first time we have, at the same time at work, 4, sometimes 5 generations, from boomers to Generation Z. And believe me, these people have completely different way of living and working, completely different priority. For Generation Z, work is not priority number 1, like us, no? We were working for living. They are just working because they want to live their life. They want to have money to live their life. They have many aspects that they are taking care of. So the family, the health, hobbies, free time. So what does it mean? That we have a shift of values, a cultural change that is fundamental for the career and for the companies. So what does it mean? And I come back to Torkild. He's right. Bring the leaders at the table. Because to make this company successful, to make this society growing and be sustainable, you need leaders that are open to the social issue, that are looking to what is happening in the society. Because all the talents, all the young talents are respecting only this type of leader that are really serving and feeling the social responsibility. Only this leader can be successful. Only this leader can be around the table, because this leader will create a virtuous circle that is giving result not only to the company, but to the society, to all the society around. So this is our priority. I agree.
I think it's the perfect closure to this roundtable. I thank you. And well, thank you for these insights on the connection between innovation, sustainability, and competitiveness. I hope that it was clear that this is not just a vision. It's a practical and achievable path that we in Europe can pursue. We here heard a blend of technology and tradition, of innovation and people, and on how to engage with new realities and old traditions. Now we will move forward to the second panel, and we will shift our focus to another critical topic, skills for competitiveness. Now, for Europe to grow, we must be equipped with the right skills, because these challenges are new challenges. At CC, I personally lead project and proposal aimed at preparing European managers for the innovation they need to lead. And I'm very happy to launch this new roundtable. I'm delighted to introduce our speakers to this session. Andreas Miller, President Ledarna, Swedish Managers Federation. Then we've got Barbara Cominelli, CEO of GLL, Italy. Francesca Moriani, CEO of our group. Maxime Legrand, again, our president. And I'm sorry to say that at the very last moment, Antonio Calabro had to cancel. Well, I have here Barbara Cominelli, and I'd like to start with her. You have extensive experience in sectors leading the digital transformation. You worked in several companies, always leading edge ones. How do you think we should work to ensure that companies remain competitive? What do you see the top skills that managers should have? And how can managers become really innovation ready and leaders of innovation?
Thank you, Silvia. Today, if I have to, let's say, summarize what I see as the top skills, top competencies, top mindset that we need to develop as managers.
I don't know if it works. Try another one.
What, is that working?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That was good.
Okay, thank you.
So now we only got one.
Thanks.
Doesn't seem.
What are the top competencies and skills that I think we need to evolve or to nurture as manager in Europe, but in general? First one, I think, is transformational and adaptive leadership. We know it, we see it every day. Working with contexts that are continuously changing, connecting the dots. Of course, repeating the old formula doesn't work. But for us, we are in Europe. We are in a situation where we need to turn complexity into a strategic advantage. So it's a rich environment in terms of regulation, stakeholder, ecosystem. So I think that one of the things that we should try to do is turn the complexity within brackets into a competitive advantage. But that means that you need to navigate it and to dominate it and anticipate it. So for sure, now being able to transform and to adapt to the change, I think is the core skill for each of us. And it's difficult sometimes because if you spend 20 years in the same role, in the same company, in the same industry, then probably you need to put a little bit of extra effort to step out of the comfort zone that comes from doing things that you know perfectly how to do. The second, clearly, is digital fluency. And digital fluency is not being able to use the tools, but is being able to understand what you can do with technology, with AI, with digital, and how you can, let's say, rethink your business augmented with technology. So, of course, you need to have the perfect knowledge of your business, but also of what technology can do to improve your productivity, your product and services, the customer experience, and so on. So digital fluency, not in a superficial way. So making sure that each of us, we don't need to be expert of coding of Python or AI technically, but we need to understand what the technology can do and what cannot do, and especially being skilled in deciding what we want the technology to do, which is particularly important with AI. And the third one, I really think, is stakeholder management. It's a skill. We need to spend more time outside with the various stakeholders. We just discussed about ESG and all these factors. We just discussed about the need to be part of ecosystem and compete in ecosystems. So I really think that each of us should spend definitely more time outside. The more you go up in the ladder, the more time you need to grow your network and to grow the ecosystem you belong to. Sometimes also to identify ways to cooperate with your competitors, to compete and not just So really, I think this is the third skill that probably it wasn't so valued a few years ago. And now is something that the CEO, the leadership needs to take ownership of. So it's not something that you delegate to your institutional relationship or person, but really you need to own this task as a leader of the company. And if I can add, the fourth one is culture, ability to work with different cultures. So that's another thing.
And we are in Europe. We're 27 countries.
So really you need to intentionally try to work on what it means to have counterparts that are not only Italian. So this is another thing that in some cases in Italy we really need to mature a little bit and to think European, to be European, and to go with this European mindset that is not us against them. It's not we're different, but where are the similarities that unite us? And then, of course, we can sort out the differences.
I'd like to go to my second lady, Francesca Moriani, to talk about artificial intelligence, which is your thing. Now, artificial intelligence is the hottest innovation topic. It's everywhere. It's transforming everything, but it's not an off-the-shelf solution. To fully exploit its potential, you really need to change the way the organization is structured, the way people think, and the skills they have. This means new technologies, new skills, new organizational models. What is your perspective on that?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Silvia, for inviting me. That's a big question, and I want to start from a fact that I'm quite sure it is clear to all of you that AI is not a new technology, but AI is a game-changer solution. Today, we are speaking a lot about AI. I'm invited almost every week to speak about AI in an event like this, but in reality, if we go to see what we are doing inside the companies, we are not investing so much on AI because we don't have so many projects that use AI to empower our business and to increase our productivity. This is a reality. We speak a lot, but we have very few projects inside the company. And because I'm the CEO of a company that want to help customers, companies to move through the digital transformation track, I usually ask why we are in this situation. We speak so much. We know that AI is a very powerful innovation. And I think there are two main reasons around that. The first one is that technology today is going is increasing at a faster that they never happened before. And for the companies, for our companies, it's very difficult to take the path. It's very difficult to invest, to understand what is going on, to invest in new competencies, and to react to this increase of technology. The second one is that we consider AI as a traditional technology. We just put AI, we think that we just put AI in our processes, in our organization, and something magical can happen. It's not like that. AI is not a traditional technology. To successfully use AI, we need to rethink our organization model and to redefine our processes of business. And when I speak about our organization model, I means that today we have three kinds of intelligence inside the companies. We have the human intelligence, as usual. We have the Gen AI intelligence, the artificial intelligence, and we have the organizational intelligence. We are living in a period that is really uncertain. Everything is happening around us. From a social perspective, from geopolitical perspective, we need to integrate this kind of intelligence, but we also need to redefine the way that we work. In the companies, usually there are the leaders, the top manager that take decision, and the other ones that do the work. We need to redistribute the leadership. We need to move the power in decision-making in the hand of all the people inside the organization, because it's the only way to be faster, to react, and to be really adaptive to this ecosystem. And so we need to open our organization to include all the kind of intelligence that need to cooperate. The human intelligence has some very strong characteristics, like creativity. We know where we are. We know the environment in which we need to take decision. Artificial intelligence has got a lot of data, is very fast to correlate a lot of data, react immediately, is like a colleague ready to answer 24 hours a day, and in every languages. But we need to understand the answer of the artificial intelligence to connect to our human intelligence and give answer to our organization to be faster in this kind of reaction. And we need to create the environment, because it's not so easy. It's easy to say, it's not easy to make enact. We need to do a lot of training to redefine, I say a lot of times, to redefine the processes, because we need to rethink the way we take the decision in the company. We need to rethink all the organization model. And leaders today need to be brave. It's quite a difficult period. I actually yesterday announced I wrote a book, and the title is Brave Ship, because we need to move from leadership to braveship. We need to think something different, to do something different, because today the world is very difficult. We need to do something different, because without this change, we will remain at the starting blocks without realizing that the race is over. And we have, this is a period of big challenges, but inside the big challenges, there are the biggest opportunity. So it is, I believe, our responsibilities as leaders, as managers, to invest, to push in increasing the competitiveness of Europe, because it's very, very important for our future.
Thank you. Well, we've seen in Europe, but not just in Europe, some companies making significant job cuts connected to AI. This is for our president. Klarna replaced 700 customer support staff with AI, although some months later decided to hire some of them back, but to change the organization and to implement AI in a different way. So it wasn't just a reduction of 700 people. Microsoft recently announced 7,000 job cuts. Most of the times, these companies are not just reducing headcounts. They are getting rid of some skills to hire new skills. So there's a shift. And of course, those who lose the job are not the ones that are going to get the new jobs. So from our perspective in Europe, for Maxime, what's happening at this intersection of productivity and the role of managers? Managers are the ones who have to fire these people and to hire the new ones, and how we can imagine future organizations.
Thank you, Silvia, for your question. A lot of very interesting things have been said, so I like the starting of this panel. Thank you. The importance of organization, the importance of shareholders, and the importance of CEO as giving the good or bad example. Of course, the thing is sure that we have to succeed and to be competitive. We are speaking about preserving our values. Our values is to not to let no one on the side of the road. So that means that we need to be economically successful to preserve our European model. So it's the first thing. And I like the way you presented the three intelligence, the artificial intelligence, the human intelligence, and the science of organization. And it's clearly our task. As managers, and as unionists, we work on human intelligence. So I hope, and we have to do everything to make that AI amplify human intelligence. So this is the way I see things. Science of organization. It's clear now, we know that artificial intelligence will modify our jobs task by task. So not completely, but task by task. So we will have some hole in the whole organization. And I like to take the example of what Elon Musk have like a motto. You remove a piece and you see everything is continuing to run. And I think it's not the right strategy. There is a mood, and I was reading the Business Europe assessment declaration in, three days ago, and employer asked for more flexibility. So yes, we can understand that we need more flexibility, but it's, we have to make sure that it doesn't lead to model fire first and retrain later. No, the two things have to be combined. And in the same vein, during the last exchanges at European level, we saw European employers asking for having the right to take the skills we don't have in Europe abroad. We saw that, and we have had some pressure on our politicians to have the right to take the people from outside. Our position is, yes, we can be authorized to find the skills we don't have in Europe, but we have to be sure that first we work on the people who are here, on the people we are on our companies. And so skills is very important, and the role of managers is very important for that. But I come back to what has been said. We need time. We need money and we need time, and we need to think differently. And time is rare for managers, and money is rare. So just to draw the picture.
Let's go to Norway. No, Sweden. Sweden, sorry. Wrong place, wrong address.
No, it is. No, it is. From Sweden. Yes?
We started talking about new skills. And I'd like to speak a little bit about the necessity for continuous learning and adaptability, and how to make company culture evolve in this skills change that we are living.
First of all, thank you for invitation, and thank you for your speeches. I think upskill and reskill is a question for companies today to survive or die. I mean, if you don't upskill and reskill your employees, you will die in this hard competition that we see in national, and what we see international, and what we see in Europe. But I think when we talk about skills, I think it's important to see the broader perspective, what's happening in Europe. Our population will become older and older, and we have very low birth rate figures. I think they are very low here in Italy, and we have in Sweden today birth rate, we have counted that from 204 years ago, 250 years, and this is the lowest rate in Sweden today. What will that mean for the skills? I mean, we have to realize that people have to work longer. We have to reskill and upskill our employees, because there will not be on the market well-educated people staying and waiting. Here I am, I can come to your company. So I think that's very important. And recently, we asked 23,000 of our managers in Ledarna about their need for skills development in the business. And that was very interesting figures, because 38% of the managers says there is a lack of sufficient supply of qualified labor. So they experience a lack of skill out there. And what's happening then? Yes, they say, based on this, there is no skill outside there. We have to recruit on the potential rather than the competence they have just now. And that means we have to have a lot of internal skills development in the company for the future. And also the managers themselves, they say, we need to be more educated, because if we don't get more education as managers, we will lose our jobs. Because then we don't understand what you describe and the development you describe very clearly. And I think we have not yet realized how dramatic the situation will be on the labor market because of AI. What we see now is that before technology stepped forward, it had lost people with not so well educated. But now we have people who are very, very well educated, and they will have no job. So this is a dramatic change of the labor market. And I think for employer organizations, for trade unions, and for politicians in Europe, this is a huge challenge, because if we don't solve the problem, we will have a social disruption that will make our competitiveness even more worse than what it is today.
Barbara, do you want to add something on the skills?
I fully agree. And one of the companies I worked for, our motto was, does it work?
I don't know, does it work?
We have no microphone competence here. change.
Thank you. Okay. Our motto was learn it all, not know it all. We want a company culture where people admit that they don't know it all, but they're eager to learn it all. And when you try to instill this sort of mindset, you do a number of things. First of all, you explain people that learning is not something on top of their job, it's part of their job. So that continuously learning, upskilling, reskilling, right skilling is part of their job. It's not something which is, and this means dedicating time, allowing people to experiment, and so on. So I really think that when you start from the idea that we don't have all the answer, nobody, and we need to continuously learn, this is very important. At the same time, I fully agree with the challenges that you mentioned. And really, employability, I think, is a very important responsibility for us as leaders and managers. So when we look at the future of our organization, I think that now, especially now, with the acceleration of the introduction of AI, I really think that employability need to be one of the objectives that in terms of our social impact and in general responsibility with our organization needs to be #1 priority. So we don't know what will happen in the future in the organization, but we need to make sure that our people have the skills that are the skills that the market needs and want. And so I think the role of the association is crucial, because sometimes inside the individual company, you don't have this understanding of what's
Especially
needed.
small companies.
So it's very important, and it's a crucial role that managerial associations need really to play. So the other thing is that we have more senior people. I think it's important that we re-put them in the loop. So, and this requires courage from the individual manager, require openness from the company, your own company or other company, to understand how to value all the skills that you put and invest to make sure that you upskill, reskill, or simply are willing to get out of your comfort zone. Because you probably see, no, we are not in a world where you are going to find the same job, exactly the same job with the same skills in another company in the same sector. This is not going to happen. So this is another thing we need all to be aware now, that the future is different, and making sure employability is a responsibility of the company, but also a responsibility of the individual manager.
And also of us.
Yeah.
CC, you wanted to add something?
Yes. If it's okay, I would like to add something from the winner of the Nobel Economic Prize, Darian Acemoglu, because he has, when we describe this, I think one of the most important issue for the labor market is labor market must be more flexibility, have more of flexibility, because we have to reskill and upskill, and we need to go from one company to another company and so on. And Darren, he has devoted much of his research to how important it is for employees to have the opportunity to develop alongside technology changes to achieve maximum prosperity. And in this research, he highlights the Nordic countries' labor market model as an example. So now you understand why I left this. But we at CIDA, we have been in contact with him and discussed with him, because we asked him, if we apply AI to development, would this function? What would you say as a Nobel Prize winner? Yes, he said. I believe that industry-wide agreements with employer organizations create greater room for adaptation to new technology changes, and especially for entering into agreements when new technology is introduced in ways that are still beneficial for the employees. So I think we need to, in the social partner dialogue, in the social dialogue, we have a very important issue to solve this problem together and see that the main goal is that we have more flexibility on the labor market and we secure the safety for the individuals.
I'd like to go back to Francesca Moriani. Sorry, that's your job to give the mic. Because the AI Act that defines the rules in Europe for the adoption of AI defines risk and boundaries for AI use, but also introduces a theme of social sustainability and ethics, which is very complex to apply. And the goal is to ensure that technology advances is human-centric. So there must be human in the loop, a person having the final say in every decision, aligned with European values. Now, I know that many companies are trying AI solutions with some pilots, but they're not still ready to put them into production because they haven't aligned their values and their rules to AI. So what can you say from your experience?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question, actually. First of all, I believe that the AI Act, it's not easy to say, it's very important, but actually is only a set of guidelines that are valid for everybody. But all the companies are different. I started to understand from when I was a baby, because I'm a second generation, that every company has a soul. And the soul of the company is done by the data, the value of the company, the ethics of the company, the culture, and all the people that lead the company. So what we need to do is to take the guidelines but apply to our companies, because every company is different and has different soul. Today what is happening in the companies, because we still weren't able to define this kind of guidelines, is that they use a reckless use of AI, a wild use of AI, because all the person, I believe all of you, in the private life, but also in the professional life, use the agent, Copilot, ChatGPT, all this stuff. We use in a very wild mode because we put a lot of sensible data of the companies inside this kind of agent. And there is a big proliferation of agents, but we weren't still able to define some rules inside the company. And it happens a lot of times that when we put some information, we discover that AI is full of bias because, yes, because we don't know who are the programmers. We don't know the programmers. They are not inside our company. They don't share our values of our company. They are in another place. They share other values. They think in a different way. So it is very important that every company is able to apply the AI Act guidelines to the values of the company. I have a very big passion for social responsibility, and I feel that we need to do a lot from a social point of view. As a CEO of a big company, European big company, and Christiana before said that ethics and social responsibilities is a business needs, and it is for everybody, but most for the young generation that they are starting to come in the companies to work, the Zoomer. and they think in a completely different way that we usually do. I have an example. When ChatGPT was announced after 3 months, my son, that was at that time in the second class of high school, 15 years old, produced 2 lessons for the Italian lesson using ChatGPT. And I was like, what should I do? To say, no way, you have to write by your hand, or to say, very good job, because you were able to educate and to give the right information to have a very good result. At the end, I said, very good. But this is just an example to understand that everything is changing with the new generation, and we really need to pay attention to this and to build up some very strong rules inside our companies. Otherwise, we will lose the control of everything.
Maxime, we started talking about rules, and Europe is often seen as regulatory leader, but not innovation leader. So what's our position in CEC in terms of what managers want in terms of simplification, but not deregulation?
Yeah, thank you for your question. Yes, we are the only part of the world that we try to regulate AI and new IT tools. Perhaps because we are not the leader when we innovate, so we are the only tool. But not also, it's because it corresponds to our values, the values that we want to preserve. So I think it's a good thing. So there are several possibilities to act. You can ask for regulation. I think we have had a lot of regulations. And the reality, when we work through our working group on AI, we see that now it's completely very difficult for managers to follow all the rules. You have 10 texts that you have to implement in your company. And now we will try with our working group to make these 10 texts very transparent and help our managers with guidelines, help them to implement and to understand the different legislation. So it's a first possibility. The other possibility is if we want less norms, we can work through social dialogue. And it has been said by Andreas and other people. And I think that social dialogue is very powerful. Social dialogue is powerful when decision makers let social partners do by themselves and when they don't interfere. I have a good example at European level, when decision makers at European level were not very committed in social dialogue. We have social partner produces 10 texts. When we have a commission very engaged with Juncker and the other one, we have only 2 texts produced. So I think that less norm could be good, but provided that the decision makers let the social partners completely negotiate by themselves. And after we have a third level at company level. And we saw that, for me, AI is just a new transformation. We know a lot of transformation. Perhaps this one, and AI is an old tool, but now it arrived at a moment where we will know a disruption and an acceleration on the impact of AI. But it's just a new transformation, and managers have the habits to manage transition and transformation. We know that with the COVID, and I will take an example with telework. We completely changed the way to work and to organize our work, and we made a big survey at CFE-CGC, and we asked 5,000 managers, and we go with a very long interview with managers, and we can have 3 different attitudes. The company where they put a frame, and it helps manager to know the rules, to know what were their power, their responsibilities, and it helps manager to manage the transition. The second, where there is no frame dictated by a company, but social dialogue, and same thing, it helps to clarify the things. And another situation where managers were alone, and they help by themselves, between peers. And it was very funny because we have some quotes of managers saying, yes, I found the perfect new method to manage my team. And when you read the way they manage, whoa, are you sure it's the right way to manage a new team? So what I mean is when there is a frame, when there is social dialogue, it's easier. When managers are trained, it's easier. And I would like, perhaps my last and third comment, we have absolutely something, I think it's you that said that we need to work on ourselves or on confidence. The first skill that is important for me is confidence. So I think that managers have to work on themselves. And the worst thing would be to think that AI is cleverer than us. So we will have more information, but at the end, we will need managers who take the responsibility, who take the decision, and that's a very important skill. So you have to know yourself, install confidence. So you have to take the people where they are. It's very important. We speak about the diversities in the team, and we saw that when we negotiated digitalization. I think the transformation of skills came step by step. If you miss a step in your transformation, in your adaptation, you can't have the other one. So it's very important to take the people where they are and to make to work with one by one. So the role, a frame, social dialogue, and a work on the manager himself, and a work with his team and his team, and to take people where they are. I stopped it.
Andreas, I'd like to ask you how we can help and what you see in managers who have to deal with a workforce that may be more skilled than they are, and they have to manage and they have to lead to exploit these new technologies.
Of course.
You need it.
Microphones will be fine. For the first, I will say that we have a motto at Ledarna in Sweden. When we talk about AI, we say then machines get smart, the humans must be wise. And I think that is very important to bring with you as a manager. You must be wise because, as you say, it's a lot of bias in AI, and the result must be checked by a person with yes, he or she must be a wise person. But if we look at the challenges, firstly, I can see in this rapidly changing labor market, we can see that managers must have the right conditions to be managers in terms of time, mandate, and of course also time to reflect and time to recover, because to be a manager today is a hard work. And what we also have in mind, what we must have in mind is that this is a we are sustainable change management for a very long time. And secondly, we have talked about it earlier, but I think the most challenge for many managers today is to have the right competence. To find the right competence or to reskill their own employees, that will be a big challenge. And thirdly, I would say, predictable rules from the politics. When I talk with managers in Sweden, they say, now we have a government who have changed the sustainable climate change politics a lot compared with the earlier government. And that will not give the companies and the managers predictable circumstances, rules, and that is a big problem for managers. But I also see that one of the most important things for managers, and then I also talk about employer organization and trade unions, is to have a common idea of the future. And in Sweden, we have been working with that a lot, and we have together, trade unions and employer organization, we have analyzed the future, And we say that the security or the safe for the employees and for the manager is not the job that will disappear. The security for employees and managers and companies is that we have the possibility to take the job that will appear. And this is very important. And with this analysis in the ground for us in Sweden, we negotiate between employer organization and trade union a new agreement, and this agreement gives employees, managers in all companies, and both public and private sector, the possibility to study in the middle of their career. And the analysis is that we must have more of flexibility in the labor market, and the employees and the managers must reskill and upskill for a long time.
Barbara, another question for you. We said we have to foster innovation, but how can we create a safe environment in companies so that people feel safe to get out of the comfort zone, try new things, and eventually fail?
I've been struggling with this for the last 15 years at least, no? Because we inside, especially large corporation, we want the employees to be entrepreneur within our companies, to take risk, to be courageous, step up of the comfort zone. But then, and it's written everywhere in the town halls, on the people strategy mission, but then you look at how you evaluate people, the objective they have, and it's not consistent because you don't really reward smart risk-taking. You don't reward the failure that you use to learn and move forward. A pilot needs to work always, otherwise the proof of concept is a failure and not a proof of concept that is designed to give you a learning and not an end result. So I think that sometimes it's really also our responsibility, no? To discuss, really to challenge this way. And in one of my experiences, for example, I created the award for the best risk when you evaluate the best risk taken and the best failure. So when you are, you have in a leadership position, you really need to try to change the mechanism, because in any case, if those are the objectives, if this is the bonus, if this is how people are evaluated, and none of these incorporate smart risk-taking, they won't do it because the organization is very able not to adjust. So from my perspective, my personal perspective, I always tried to include this component of smart experiment, smart risk-taking inside, again, the set of objectives that the people have. That means that not only you can evaluate people on the yearly financial performance. Of course, these sort of things, they need to be multi-annual. Of course, you don't achieve, if in your scorecard you only have the financials of the year, the people are not going to focus on learning, risk-taking, sustainability, resilience, because it's not what you're asking in, let's say, in real terms. You're talking about, but then the facts don't follow. So, and the second thing I really think is leading by example. So the culture in the organization doesn't change if you don't are open to admit your failure, what you learned, your fragility. And if it doesn't start from the leadership, it will never percolate through the organization. So I really, it's simplistic, but this is I think the only way to make sure that you open up a different culture and you start doing what Francesca was mentioning. So is empowerment, is autonomy within the organization, is a leader that doesn't only decide, but listen, empowers. Then, of course, you put together your puzzle and you need to decide, but takes all the contribution that comes internally and from the outside. So when you start doing that, I think that something in the organization start changing. And it's not easy, it's a process, it's a lot of change management, but people need to trust that your backing them, that you have your back and you're there. When you fail, it's your failure and not someone else, someone in the team. I mean, it's sort of those things which are common sense, but sometimes pressurized by the rhythm of the organization, you don't dedicate enough time to the change management component of this, which is really cultural, belly, heart, and not only the mind of the people.
Francesca, I see you want to add a phrase.
I go.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with Barbara. She said a lot of things that I really trust. I wanted just to add the thing that I believe that the first and most important competencies today for manager is the capability to listen and understand the environment of the company and outside the company. Because it's very important today to create the right environment inside a company in which people can move in a very autonomous way and without have the fear to do something wrong. Because usually in Europe, we believe that to fail is something wrong. It's something that we have to say, no, you don't have to make a mistake. We need to do mistake. If we don't do mistake, we are not able to grow. So it's better, what I say every day inside my company is that it's better to ask sorry than not, can I do something? Do what you think that's correct for the company. And after, if you are not, if it's wrong, you just ask, sorry, I made a mistake. But you learn the lesson one time, the second no. No more than one time a mistake.
Maxime, would you like to tell us what CC is doing on this topic?
Yes, so we publish guidelines clearly to explain managers how they can work. And I think that's it's a part, you gave part of the answers we gave to. I mean, when we worked on sustainability, I remember very well that one of the most important things was the vision and the role of CEO. So I really like what you just said, Barbara, because it's very important. After that, once that is said, I know that sometimes CEO have a problem with their shareholders. So this is why working with CEO is not sufficient. We have to be close to the shareholders and to influence shareholders. We work, for instance, we developed a European project on biases. So we were a bit seen with big eyes at European level when we pushed to work and when we asked money for working on unconscious biases. But finally, we succeeded to work on that because we were realizing, indeed, with the development of artificial intelligence, that artificial intelligence just develop 100 up-in time our own biases. So we had absolutely to be aware of our own biases. So we make a full project and we make a wonderful communication beyond unconscious biases, and we help managers in their daily life to understand that. And of course, we call the employers to work with us in every company at European level to put that frame and to work together. And I think one of the importance we start to have good example in company where we can have charter to train the representative of the employees, and I think it's a first step. So, and this is what we did. We did a webinar with some experts on AI. We explain that it's not a black box. We can understand what is inside. Don't be afraid of AI. That perhaps it could appear complex, but it's not useful to transform complexity in something very simplistic. No, it's complex, but we are able to manage complexity. And just to say that they are not alone, because a lot of CEO and other managers like the same experience. So, but I like this period because, you know, it re-question every task. I've had all the same colleagues, the king of PowerPoint, the guy or the woman who was able to manipulate PowerPoint and make beautiful presentation in 5 minutes. And we were amazed. And now we re-question the added value of making that. And same thing with students. The most important thing is to be able to PowerPoint or to convince people to make the three most important ideas, to share your three important ideas. So I like this period because we re-question everything. And I remember that 2 years ago, I had a very nice exchange with a professor of science of organization. And we agreed for 1 hour with the fact that we can gain a lot of efficiency from the board to the ground in every company, in every organization. And at the end we said, okay, so we agree. But at the end, if we succeed to make the same work in 40 hours a week and we save 5 hours a week, who these hours belong to? To the employer or to the employees? So we have to work together. We can gain efficiency, but we absolutely share the benefit of that and the failure.
Well, this is the end for this last round table. Please. Maxime. And, well, we showed you the European way, sustainable innovation. I hope you'll go home with some interesting ideas to work on. Before the final goodbye, I want to introduce Franco Del Vecchio, CIDA Lombardy, who is the man behind the organization of this event.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Silvia. I'm really proud to represent more than 50,000 managers that participate, are committed with CIDA, and I represent and take relation with institutions like Regione Lombardia. And I really invite more managers to participate in our association, because the more we are, and more power we can place and influence institution. It's very, very important to have an European organization, because we are very proud to be Lombardy people. We make as 16% of Italian population, 25% of GDP, which is really important. And almost 50% of the managers, Italian managers, are in Lombardy because of many companies and multinational are in Milan. So we are very proud of this. But we would like to play a major role. And this is not a champion league. And I'm happy about that. But we learned a lesson. The social team that won the champion league was a young team motivated with a strong team spirit. And we need to learn from this lesson. Our objective is to act as a team in Europe. We are proud to be Lombardy people, we are proud to be Italian, but we need to be more proud to be European. So our objective is, and the challenge is to work effectively as a team, not only between the various managers, private and public, in the various sectors, but also with the institution, with the other parties, because all together we can change and make the future. The future is the place where the next generation will live, and is so important, much more important than a cup of Champions League. Thank you.
Thank you. Maxime?
Thank you. Frankly, after what Mr. Del Vecchio said, I have not a lot of things to do. I like this speech. I fully in line with what you just said. I made a post a few days ago about the power of a team, of being a team. And it was in line with soccer too, indeed. So I fully agree with you. And I like a book that I read a few years ago. The name is A Culture. And he explained the difference between German people, Nordic people, American, English and American. It's very important. And this is what I learned when I arrived at European level. And I have been asked this question a few months ago. The difference between an American manager or a European manager or a manager coming from another place. We have to manage a lot of diversity. But diversity is a richness. And this is the way we will face the challenges we have. So I'm very optimistic. And nothing to add to your a very good speech. Thank you for that. My last word for you, for CIDA, for the Lombardy region. Thanks again. Thank you. And thank you, Silvia, for the very good moderation.
Thank you.
And trust in you, everyone has the power to have impact and to change the future and to transmit the good values.
Thank you. Thank you very much for you. Thank you.